In football, we are told that a 2-0 lead is the most dangerous scoreline. That is a lie, but it is a lie that teams cannot help but believe. On July 7, 2026, Egypt stood on the verge of history. In the World Cup round of 16, they held a 2-0 lead over the defending champions Argentina. They were minutes away from sending Lionel Messi home. The game felt settled, but control in football is a fragile thing. In the 72nd minute, Christian Romero scored. Suddenly, the certainty vanished. Lionel Messi equalized in the 85th. And in stoppage time, Enzo Fernandez completed a 3-2 victory for Argentina. Days earlier, Senegal suffered the same fate. They led Belgium 2-0. They looked comfortable, but a late rally led by Romelu Lukaku and Youri Tielemans turned a comfortable victory into a 3-2 defeat in extra time. For decades, commentators and managers have warned players about this exact scenario. Popularized by Gary Lineker, the cliché is part of football folklore. The narrative is always the same. A 2-0 lead makes you comfortable, while a single goal for the opponent changes the momentum and induces panic. It makes logical sense. We watch it happen, but logic and data do not always align. When we look at the numbers, the idea of the dangerous 2-0 lead falls apart completely. Statistically, it is one of the safest positions in the sport, yet the psychological collapse is real. To understand why, we have to look past the scoreline and examine how the human brain processes win probability, complacency, and fear. Let us start with the raw data. If 2-0 were truly the most dangerous scoreline, the statistics would show that teams in this position frequently drop points. But they do not. Opt to analyze thousands of professional matches across Europe and international tournaments. The data is clear. Teams that take a 2-0 lead go on to win the match roughly 88 to 90% of the time. The chance of actually losing from this position is a mere 2 to 3%. In comparison, a 1-0 lead is incredibly fragile. Teams leading 1-0 only win about 50 to 52% of the time. A single mistake, a penalty, or a deflection instantly resets the game. At 2-0, you have a cushion. The opponent has to score twice just to draw. So why does the myth of the dangerous 2-0 lead persist? The answer lies in a cognitive shortcut called availability bias. We do not remember the hundreds of routine 2-0 wins where the leading team keeps possession and runs down the clock. They are forgettable, but we vividly remember Argentina's comeback against Egypt or Belgium's recovery against Senegal. Because these moments are dramatic and emotionally charged, they dominate our memory. Pundits and commentators repeat the cliché because it keeps the audience watching. It maintains the illusion of suspense in a game that is statistically over. But while a 2-0 lead is statistically secure, the way players behave when they reach this scoreline exposes them to a dangerous mental feedback loop. The moment a team goes up 2-0, a shift occurs in the minds of the players. At 1-0, players remain highly alert. They know the game is close. But at 2-0, the win probability rises to 90%. Subconsciously, the brain recognizes that the job is nearly done. The brain seeks to conserve energy. The intensity drops by just a fraction. A midfielder stops making a recovery run. A defender gives an attacker half a yard of space. In elite football, that tiny reduction in effort is critical. While the leading team relaxes, the trailing team experiences the opposite effect. A complete release of pressure. When you are down 2-0, your chance of winning is almost zero. You have nothing left to lose. The manager makes aggressive tactical adjustments, committing extra players forward. The trailing players play with freedom. They take risks they would never attempt at 0-0. This creates a dangerous imbalance. The leading team is trying to manage the game, while the trailing team is playing with absolute intensity. The match dynamics begin to tilt. The leading team is no longer playing to win. They are playing to avoid mistakes. This defensive mindset invites pressure, and when that pressure leads to a goal, the game enters a state of panic. In 2025, researchers Jonathan Kent and Ulrich Brandes published a study analyzing the shifting dynamics of 2-goal leads. Their findings showed that while a 2-goal lead is safe at the final whistle, the transition to 2-1 triggers a violent psychological shift. The moment the opponent scores, the leading team's win probability drops from 90% to around 60%. This drop activates a concept known as loss aversion. Behavioral science shows that humans feel the pain of losing twice as intensely as the joy of winning. The leading team, which believed the victory was secure, suddenly realizes they are in danger of losing everything. Panic sets in. Players stop playing proactively and start playing to protect what remains. They drop deep, invite pressure, and clear the ball aimlessly. By attempting to defend by crowding their own box, they invite the very danger they are trying to avoid. Meanwhile, the trailing team is energized. They have gone from being out of the game to being one shot away from an equalizer. Statistical models show that once a team pulls it back to 2-1, their rate of creating high-quality chances increases by over 30%. One team is paralyzed by the fear of losing, while the other is driven by the hope of a comeback. That is why the 2-0 lead feels so fragile. It is not because the scoreline itself is statistically weak. It is because the transition from 2-0 to 2-1 is the most dramatic mental swing in the sport. It turns 90% favorites into panicked defenders in a matter of seconds. So the next time your team goes up 2-0, do not celebrate just yet. Statistically, you are likely to win. But psychologically, the real test has only just begun. If you enjoyed this analysis, please like and subscribe for more in-depth football stories. Until next time, enjoy the beautiful game.